Thunder. Thundercats. Ho! It's a Gundam!
And knowing is half the battle.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Welcome to Toon Travel. Hey, cartooners, you're listening to Toon Travel. I'm Paul Siebert.
And I'm Faith Casto.
And in each episode, we travel back in time to a year in the distant past to watch a cartoon and escape our terrifying and increasingly stupid present. Also, I'm a giant squirrel, and Faith's a plant monster.
Yep.
So, Faith, how have you been handling this winter as a plant?
I, quite frankly, hated it. Still hate every time it snows. I have stayed indoors and under a heated blanket when I get the chance.
Well, it's been a little rough for me because, I buried all those acorns and I got to go outside and dig them up.
Have you been able to find them all right?
Yeah, it's a little tricky, though, because there are so many other squirrels on campus and it's a bit of competition to find them.
Yeah.
We were originally planning on having a guest on this episode. It didn't work out. We may have that guest on a future episode, though.
Mm-hmm.
But I chose this episode's cartoon, Pro Stars, because it is sports season. We've seen the Super Bowl, we've seen the Winter Olympics, and March Madness is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
NBA season's in prime gear, NHL season's in prime gear, college basketball's in prime gear. It's a lot of
all the things.
all exciting stuff. It's also been Valentine's Day recently. Did you do anything fun for Valentine's Day?
I didn't do a whole lot. I actually just went to my boyfriend's house and we spent the day together there.
Oh, that sounds nice. Well, I'm Ace, so I spent the day watching Olympic hockey with my cat.
You know what? That's fair.
I'd like to make a little media recommendation that is not a cartoon. It is a series that has sort of flown under the radar. It actually came out in 2024. It's called Bad Monkey. You can watch it on Apple TV Plus, and it stars Vince Vaughn in an adaptation of a Carl Hiaasen novel. And it is about a detective who has been taken out of action and has to go investigate this case in which nothing but the victim's arm has been discovered. And at first, it sounds like a fairly straightforward, open and shut murder mystery. But around episode 4, there is a plot twist that changes the context of everything. And suddenly, the crime that we thought we saw is something very different.
Huh. I actually just looked it up because I was curious. Even the pictures seem pretty interesting. It seems like it'd be a good show to watch.
Yeah, it's a very loyal adaptation to the spirit of Carl Hiaasen's work. I'm not sure if you've read any of Carl Hiaasen's novels, but he does two things. He does these blood-drenched dark comedy crime novels and children's adventure books, and this is the former.
What an interesting combination.
Yes. So, Faith, is there any media you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I know this one's pretty popular. It might have a little bit of like a rated R kind of vibe to it at some points, but Heated Rivalry, that one's pretty good. It's a hockey romance between I believe a Canadian and a Russian hockey player.
Ooh, exciting.
It was good.
So, Faith, just out of curiosity, do you ever go on YouTube and watch past sports highlights?
Not typically, but I'm also not like big into sports like some people are, but that's just a personal preference.
I'm not that big into sports, but I've noticed one of my guilty pleasures on YouTube is to watch Gen Z viewers responding to 80s and 90s highlights and having their mind blown by Michael Jordan or Larry Bird. Or Wayne Gretzky, or Bo Jackson. But before we talk about this episode's show, I need to bring up our defunct sponsor, As we frequently mention on the show, we are sponsored by products and services that no longer exist. And this episode is brought to you by Crime Time after Prime Time.
Intensity. It's the difference between a desk lamp and a laser. Between white noise and perfect pitch. Late at night, when sounds are clearer, lights are brighter, emotions pull into sharp focus, CBS gets intense. Crime Time after Prime Time. 5 different shows, a new one each night. Adult themes so intense we couldn't show them in prime time. CBS late night. High-intensity television. It's too hot to sleep.
So, premiering in 1991, this programming block of crime shows aired on CBS opposite of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and The Arsenio Hall Show. And the idea was that since everyone else was doing talk shows, why not film some crime dramas on the cheap up in Canada and Mexico and give them a slightly more racy content than their primetime lineup? Programs included Silk Stalkings, which was a show about sexy cops who only solved crimes of passion.
Interesting.
There was also Forever Night, which was a show about a detective that was secretly a vampire, and Sweating Bullets, aka Tropical Heat, which was a detective show set in Florida that was very popular in Serbia, of all places.
Serbia?
Yes, it was like one of the first place American shows aired over there after the Cold War, I guess.
Huh. I wonder what went through their heads.
Well, having something of a cult following, the block was canceled in 1993 to make room for The Late Show with David Letterman, though some shows like Silk Stalkings, Forever Night, and Sweating Bullets continued to exist in syndication or on the USA Network. Anyway, I went ahead and grabbed a newspaper while we were back in 1991. And on September 5th, 1991, protesters scaled the house of North Carolina Senator Jesse Helms in Arlington, Virginia, and unfurled a giant yellow inflatable condom covering the house. And the condom had text on it reading, "A condom to stop unsafe politics. Helms is deadlier than a virus." The stunt was to protest against Helms' attacks on the LGBTQ+ community and his steadfast refusal to fund AIDS research and treatment. Helms was not home at the time of the stunt. His maid, however, was, and she was bewildered as she was unable to leave the house until the condom was deflated.
I feel like I've heard about that.
Yeah, it's... Jesse Helms is one of the most unpleasant people we've ever elected to office, and that says something. On September 10th, Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit was released to promote the upcoming album Nevermind. While initially didn't chart, it would go on to be on one of the best-selling songs of all time, ushering in the age of grunge and alternative rock. In fact, this album was so successful that some people say the 90s really didn't start until the song charted. On September 19th, a mummified body was found in the Italian Alps. Named Otzi the Iceman, the body was thought to be from between 3400 and 3100 BC. And on the weekend of September 27th through 29th, the #1 movie in America was The Fisher King, a comedy drama about the unlikely friendship between a suicidally depressed former DJ and a homeless man who thought he was a knight on a quest. The film starred Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams and was directed by Monty Python alumni Terry Gilliam. Gilliam would also direct such cult classics as Brazil, Time Bandits, and 12 Monkeys. So let's talk a little bit about the show Pro Stars, but we have to talk about the athletes. So first off, you had Michael Jordan, who was arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. His amazing career would include 6 NBA championships, 6 NBA Finals MVP awards, 10 NBA scoring titles, and 5 NBA MVP awards. And he was in the movie Space Jam.
Yep.
Then you had Wayne Gretzky, who had a 20-year hockey career running from 1979 until 1999. At the time of his retirement, the Great One held 61 NHL records, 40 regular season records, and 15 playoff records, and 6 All-Star records. His landmark career would see 4 Stanley Cup championships, 9 Hart trophies as the most valuable player, and 10 Art Ross trophies for the most points in a season. And finally, you have Bo Jackson, who is probably the most obscure star featured in this cartoon. A two-sport superstar, Bo was one of the most recognizable athletes of the late 80s and early 90s, becoming the first and only athlete to be named an all-star in two major sports, football and baseball, in 1 year. Sadly, at the peak of his fame, he suffered a hip injury that cut his football career short in 1991. And he would retire from baseball in 1994. Jackson still holds the NFL record for the most runs of over 90 yards from scrimmage in one season.
That's impressive.
Yes, he basically ran the whole length of the field. In 1987, he won the NEA NFL Rookie of the Year award, and he is in both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame. So, let's talk a little bit about Pro Stars. This is a Saturday morning cartoon that aired for one season of 13 episodes produced by DIC Entertainment, or DIC, as they are properly called. We talked a little bit about DIC during our Ghostbusters episode. The French-Canadian animation studio had a mercurial rise in the 80s and a long, painful downfall in the 90s, leading to its demise in 2008. This program was part of a short-lived push by DIC to create shows featuring the likenesses of celebrities. These shows would include Wish Kid, which had Macaulay Culkin, a New Kids on the Block cartoon, and Hammerman, an attempt at turning MC Hammer into a superhero. None of these shows would make it past one season. The show was part of NBC's infamously unsuccessful 1991 programming lineup, which led to the station canceling every children's programming but Saved by the Bell, and bowing out of Saturday morning cartoons altogether. Other failed shows from that year include Wish Kid, Yo Yogi, that's the show where Yogi Bear is a hip teen detective operating out of a shopping mall, and Chip and Pepper's Cartoon Madness, a TV variety show hosted by two guys who had never worked in television.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yes, they were two guys who sold designer jeans, and someone saw one of their commercials was like, "Would you like your own TV show?" And it was a mess. Anyway, Pro Stars aired at 9:30 a.m., which was a particularly difficult time slot, airing opposite of Beetlejuice, Tasmania, and Garfield and Friends. While the show featured the likeness of famous athletes, their cartoon counterparts were voiced by sound-alikes. Gretzky and Jackson were interviewed for live-action segments on the show. The show also is interesting because it has two distinctly different theme songs, the first being a knockoff of Queen's We Will Rock You, which aired the episode that we watched, and a second slowed-down song. I was unable to find out when the change was made, if they ran like the Queen-style song through the first airing, or maybe they might have changed the song up when the show was probably syndicated on the Family Channel.
Maybe, I don't know.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the voice actors. So you had Townsend Coleman as Wayne Gretzky. Coleman is most famous for voicing Michelangelo in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon and the Tick in the 1994 series. He was also one of the Monstars in Space Jam, so there's another connection to Michael Jordan. You had Dave Fennoy as Bo Jackson. Fennoy is most famous for his work in video games such as The Walking Dead, Minecraft Story Mode, and The Wolf Among Us. And finally, you had Dorian Harewood as Michael Jordan. Harewood was also the voice of James Rhodes, a.k.a. War Machine, in the 1994 Iron Man cartoon, and was Sir Bryant in The Legend of Prince Valiant. He was also sometimes the voice of Shredder in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon whenever James Avery was unavailable. He also appeared in live-action TV movies such as The Jesse Owens Story and Roots the Next Generation, and he was a recurring character on Seventh Heaven. And finally, you have Susan Shiloh as Mom. We talked about her in our Pac-Man episode, where she voiced Sue. She also appeared in such TV shows as Toxic Crusaders, Biker Mice from Mars, and James Bond Jr., all potential candidates for this show.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about Pro Stars. Season 1, Episode 3, The Perbots of Dr. Loeb. This first aired on September 28th, 1991, and was written by Kevin O'Donnell.
gonna make them duck. Football breakaway, Bo's gonna save the day. We are Pro Stars. We are Pro Stars. Slam jam in your face, Michael puts them in their place. We are Pro Stars. We are Pro Stars. Speed skates gonna go, Wayne's always in control. We are Pro Stars. We are Pro Stars. Fastball, big swing, Bo knows everything.
Pro Stars. It's all about helping kids.
This episode opens with the original We Will Rock You knockoff theme song, and I wonder if they got a cease and desist complaint.
Maybe so.
Freddie Mercury was in his final days in 1991, and I could just imagine him being in the hospital and deciding, this will not stand. We open up with a live-action sketch where Gretzky and Jackson were interviewed separately, but it's edited to look like they're talking to one another. Jackson looks like he's happy to be here, and poor Gretzky looks like he's being held hostage. Michael Jordan is not here, notably. Jackson contends that there is no way that machines can play sports. Gretzky points out that they build cars, and these words, villains, danger, excitement, and go pro bros, flash across the screen very rapidly in a very late 80s, early 90s aesthetic fashion. Our cartoon proper opens at Mom's Gym and Juice Bar, where Gretzky and Jacky are sparring, wielding a hockey stick and a baseball bat, respectively. A very animated, pardon the pun, Michael Jordan is doing play-by-play. Gretzky bakes Jackson's bat, and Bo responds by grabbing Wayne's hockey stick, so Gretzky does a pro wrestling Frankensteiner. Mom and his assistant Denise walk in just in time to see Jackson between Gretzky's legs in a somewhat suggestive manner. And I have to mention how awkward it is to have a character named Mom. I presume it's a everyone calls her Mom situation, and she didn't adopt these three grown men.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, what is the deal with this?
Yeah, I don't think this is a blindside situation. Mom admonishes the boys for getting sloppy, and to prove so, she hurls a ball at Bo Jackson. He ducks, and it crashes through a wall. And Susan Silo's attempt at a thick Jewish accent is not great. It's also important to note that the mom character seems to be based off Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Do you know who she is?
I'm not familiar, no.
Okay, she was this little old Jewish lady who was a colorful character and very funny and wrote a bunch of books, and she was a frequent guest on the late-night talk show circuit, but she was a sex therapist.
Interesting.
So not... I am puzzled as to why they based a children's character on a sex therapist.
Who knows?
So Mom is insisting that she goes along on the next mission, which Jordan objects because she's too valuable. There's a gag where a bystander has caught the ball she threw earlier in his mouth. Mom says that the next mission is going to be a humdinger, and Denise reveals that they have received a video disc from a man calling himself Dr. Love, who has a giant head. He says that he has created the ultimate robots, which he calls perbots, because they're stronger than people and robots, which that seems redundant.
Yeah.
I mean, the average robot is stronger than the person, so I just, why not just call them super robots?
Who knows?
Anyway, he has challenged the Pro Stars to a competition against his robots and is holding a girl named Jill hostage. Jill warns the Pro Stars that it's a trap, and Loeb admits that he wouldn't be much of a villain if it wasn't. This angers Bo so much that he grabs the TV and shakes it. Michael suggests that some augmentation to their motor skills is necessary, to Wayne's confusion. Bo says it's gadget time. Mom tosses him a giant bag of gadgets at Wayne, who collapses. And our heroes get in their very toyetic aircraft, which is called the ProStar 1, and they fly to the stadium. And I always love designs in cartoons that look like they're specifically made for toys in cartoons that never got a toy line. They fly to the stadium, and there's this kid selling programs who looks like Flim Flam from the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Mom buys one of the programs as a souvenir, but is furious that they cost $3. You know, I hate the word problematic, but it's not great that the over-the-top Jewish character is comedically cheap.
Yeah.
So they go into the stadium and find themselves surrounded by cameras, and Dr. Loeb explains that the competition is being recorded for the owners of sports teams all over the world. And once they see the robots defeat the Pro Stars, the owners will buy Dr. Loeb's robots, rendering flesh and blood athletes obsolete. So the Probots are worried because AI is coming for their jobs. I see several problems with the plan, though, namely the players' union and the fans, and I don't think this is well thought out. Wayne asks, once the athletes are replaced by robots, who's next? Librarians? And for some reason, that line made me very sad.
Yeah.
The three huddle up with Mom's encouragement, and they prepare to challenge Dr. Loeb, but our villain has his hostage suspended above a death trap he calls the Dentures of Death. Loeb explains that the only way they can save the girl is by defeating the robots. So, first off is baseball. Bo Jackson looks confident until he sees a giant robot with an electrified bat and a spiked metal ball. Loeb asks, before you're all destroyed, can I get some autographs? Which, that's a fun villain line. Mom hands Bo a baseball bat that turns into a helicopter and a glove that she forgot what it does. Bo goes to bat, but observes that there's no catcher, and Loeb says that there isn't one because the pitching robot is going to try and throw one right through Jackson. How does attempting murder prove that the robot athletes are superior? Maybe Loeb should have sold his robots to the army.
Possibly.
The robot tries to beam Bo with his ball that he ducks. Loeb declares this to be a strike. Marm argues that this is a ball, and she's technically right. The pitching robot then throws two fastballs at the same time that have monster faces on them. Bo uses his helicopter bat to knock them both out of the park, scoring 2 home runs. I'm not sure how one-on-one baseball works. Since there's no catcher, why didn't Bo just bunt and take a run for it?
Who knows?
I mean, what happens if he just gets a base hit?
I'm not sure.
Jordan informs Bo that the strap on his glove turns into an autogyro. Jordan explains that he doesn't believe Loeb is going to let his hostage go, even if the Pro Stars win. So he goes off to rescue Jill, while Bo and Gretzky compete. Bo pitches a ball at the robot who hits it. Just as the ball is about to fly out of the park, Bo uses his propeller glove, which flies out of the stadium, catches the ball, and the robot is out. So the Pro Stars have won their first event. And one of the problems I have with this episode is, shouldn't the Pro Stars win by being smarter or more skilled? What is the message when they defeat technology with more technology?
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel like this episode is pretty on point for how the world is right now.
Yeah, like, this is one of those things that, as goofy and shallow as this cartoon is, Dr. Loeb seems like a fairly timely villain because he's a guy who is just trying to shove his idea of innovation down everyone's throat, whether there's actual demand for the product or not.
Yeah.
So Flim Flam is back, and he's selling hot dogs, and Wayne Gretzky is so excited about the Pro Stars' first win that he eats all the hot dogs. And it's just weird that they decided to make Gretzky the goofy one when we saw the interview with the real Wayne Gretzky at the start of the show, and he seemed so stiff and uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jordan goes to the top of the stadium to rescue the hostage. He leaps on top of the mechanical trap. Joe asks Jordan how he got up there, and Jordan gives an overly technical answer when he just jumped. Jordan has a shoe phone, like Maxwell Smart. Ask your grandparents, kids. He calls Denise, and they feed some stats into a computer to try and figure out how to shut off the trap. He gives Denise a bunch of numbers, and the computer says to simply unplug it. Loeb sees Jordan and sends his basketball robot after him. The robot throws a basketball at Jordan, and that sends him flying off the magnet. And there's this fade-out cliffhanger where we presumably would have seen a commercial break. Jordan's shoes have spring-loaded gadgets that allow him to bounce to safety, and I ask, is this why Air Jordans were so expensive? Because they had all the gadgets in them.
I bet so.
Yeah, I mean, people were balking about those $290 shoes, but, if they had telephones and springs in them, that might have been worth it. Jordan bounces around and spikes the basketball in the robot's face, killing it. Don't mess with Jordan. He plays for keeps. The count on the scoreboard is the Pro Stars are beating the Purbots 2-0, and I guess they're not doing best of 3 rules because we are going on to our final sport, ice hockey. Loeb reveals a giant robot with a laser stick, which freaks out Gretzky so much he jumps into Jackson's arms Scooby-Doo style. Gretzky initially refuses, but Loeb threatens Jill once again. Wayne reluctantly agrees. And at this point, I was wondering, did Wayne Gretzky anger one of the writers? Because they're setting up all the character dynamics, and okay, Michael Jordan's the smart one. I can see that. Bo Jackson's the big guy. All right, that kind of writes itself. But Wayne Gretzky is a coward and comedically wrong and goofy and sort of the idiot of the team.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Loeb summons a special hockey rink surrounded by barbed wire, and Mom has more gadgets. She helps Wayne an elbow pad that turns into an inflatable raft. Wayne comedically slides around before Mom tosses him into the hockey rink. Wayne gets serious and summons his skates and hockey sticks, commenting that it's sometimes cool to be a cartoon. Jordan goes off to rescue Jill again. The robot goon immediately charges in for a hockey fight and starts high-sticking and trying to swat at Gretzky, so he's committing multiple fouls. Gretzky goes into a complete stop, causing the robot to go flying. It gets up and tosses Wayne, and Mom tells him to use a gadget. The robot bounces off of the raft and crashes into a wall, and there's a little bit of an animation error because we don't see the wall. And the robot short circuits, and Wayne wins, but still considers the contest to be unfair. Jordan finds the trap and is ready to unplug it. He radios the other Pro Stars, and Loeb summons his robots to attack our heroes. Wayne asks Mom to pilot Pro Star 1. Wayne and Bo fight off the robot horde that Loeb has summoned, while Mom gets into the aircraft, and Jordan goes to rescue Jill. Bo and Wayne jump into Pro Star 1. They catch Jill before she can fall from the magnetic track and circle back to pick up Jordan. Loeb tries to get away, but they catch him with the hook. Our animated segment ends with the Pro Stars back at the gym, with Jill thanking our heroes before her parents arrive to take her home, and there's a comedic bit where Mom is yelling at the Pro Stars again. And finally, we get a live-action segment where Jackson and Gretzky answer questions from the kids. One of the kids admits that he's not very good at sports and is usually picked last. He asks if it's still okay to play. Bo says that it's okay as long as you're happy, and Gretzky points out that one of the things about playing sports when you're young is it's not like throwing out for the professional leagues, and there are other reasons to play, like camaraderie. He says to keep playing because it's fun. Two kids ask Gretzky if he has any pets, and it turns out that Gretzky has a cat named Toto. The end.
Nice.
So, Faith, what did you think of Pro Stars?
Honestly, I guess for what I was expecting, I'm not a big fan of sports, so I was like, oh, I don't know how I'll think of this episode. And it turned out, in my opinion, to be better than I thought it would be.
I honestly thought that this was one of the weaker shows we watched. I
mean, compared to the other ones, it wasn't my favorite, obviously, but it wasn't I guess the worst it could have been. I don't know.
I mean, I would have rather watched it than Little Shop.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I would rank it similarly to Filmation Ghostbusters. It's I think a lot of the show seems a little bit half thought out. They didn't really think out the villain's plan that much. The mom character is a total misfire for me, and for me, a comic character that doesn't work is sometimes just the worst thing. But what I think would have really helped the show is if we had some stronger villains. They should have licensed some pro athletes to oppose the Pro Stars.
Yeah.
You could have had Bill Laimbeer as the anti-Michael Jordan, who, if you don't know, Bill Laimbeer is one of the great defensive players of his era, but he was also one of the dirtiest.
Oh, yeah.
And I could totally see him leading a team of athletes whose mission is bullying children. You could have also had, I guess there isn't an evil two-sport athlete, so you'd need two guys to cover Bo Jackson. So you could have had Pete Rose, who, was bitter about being denied entry in the Hall of Fame and turned to a life of crime. And you could have also had the Boz, Brian Bosworth, the bad boy of college football, who, like Bo Jackson, had his NFL career cut short. And, we needed Devin here to tell us who the anti-Wayne Gretzky is. There has to be some evil goon in hockey history.
Most likely. And I thought it was kind of ironic that the sports that the, villain chose were sports that the three had played in the beginning of the episode.
Yes. But we're going to cue up the game show music. And we're going to be playing a new game I call Faux Stars.
Ooh.
And this is going to be a little different because normally we play best of 5.
Mhm.
And this is a game where you got one chance to win.
Oh.
So many athletes have dabbled in movies and televisions. I'm going to name 5 side projects starring a famous actor, but one of them is a lie.
Oh, wow.
So you're going to have to guess which one of these 5 is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Learning the ropes. In this 1988 sitcom, former NFL defensive lineman Lyle Alzado stars as a mild-mannered private school teacher who moonlights as a masked professional wrestler. Produced in part by the National Wrestling Alliance, it features guest appearances by such wrestlers as Ric Flair, Ronnie Garvin, Ricky Morton, and Dick Murdoch. So that's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I could be coming out strong and lying to you off the bat. All right. Number 2, Stone Cold. In this 1991 action film, former 2-time All-American Oklahoma linebacker Brian Bosworth, who you may know from the Dr. Pepper Fansville commercials, plays an aggressive cop who's blackmailed by the FBI into infiltrating a violent biker gang in order to prevent an assassination. In a stunning plot twist, he fails miserably, but naturally the whole thing ends in a giant gunfight. Number 3, The Magic Hour. In 1998, 3-time NBA MVP Irving Magic Johnson hosted his own syndicated late-night talk show. It was heavily criticized due to Johnson's nervousness being on camera and his lack of chemistry with his comedic sidekick Craig Shoemaker. It was canceled after only 4 months, but still more successful than the Chevy Chase show.
Yeah.
Number 4, Coffee with Kareem and Sugar. In this 1990 morning talk show on ESPN, NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and 7-time boxing champion Sugar Ray Leonard looked at the intersection of sports and politics. Despite okay ratings, the show was canceled by ESPN after 6 months after network executives decided they needed to stick to sports.
That's a very clever name.
Finally, number 5, The Fish That Shaved Pittsburgh. In this 1979 comedy film, NBA legend Dr. J. Julius Erving plays an arrogant star of the failing Pittsburgh-based basketball team. Upon the advice of an astrologer, the team decides to bring in players exclusively born under the same astrological sign as Irving and changes the team name to the Pittsburgh Pisces. Remarkably, the harebrained scheme works and the team starts to win games. Oh, and the whole film is a disco musical.
That's interesting.
All right, so Learning the Ropes, Stone Cold, The Magic Hour, Coffee with Kareem and Sugar, or The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Which one of these do you think is the lie?
Okay. I'm pretty sure the second one and the third one are real shows. At least from my memory, they seem to be familiar. I feel like the third one is so clever.
The Magic Hour?
The Kareem and Sugar. That one's very clever. I want to go with the fifth one.
The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That is a real movie.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. I made up coffee with cream and sugar.
Ah, I should have known it was too clever.
Remember that if you are listening to this show on YouTube, you should like and subscribe to the Dead Podcasters Society's YouTube channel to get other great shows like this, List Life, and Offsides and On One. You can subscribe to this show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, and most other podcast providers. And you can listen to the show every other week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. on WMUL. I'm going to be hosting a panel on Saturday, March 7th at HerdCom called Atomic Age of Kaiju. So if this goes up before then, check it out. And I'll be talking all about the first Godzilla movie and other giant monster movies of that era, including Gorgo, Reptilicus, and them. So, Faith, do you have any updates on Diary of a College Student?
Honestly, as of right now, I don't have any updates.
Well, Faith, next week is going to be the anniversary of our first episode going up on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, what better today to celebrate the anniversary than with a special episode? And what better for a special episode than a Soul preview special? And I found a ABC fall preview special featuring Weird Al Yankovic and Scooby-Doo.
Interesting.
And we're going to have an opportunity to talk about a whole bunch of different shows next time. Stay tuned, listeners.
We'll see you next time. Bye.